I like to go back to a time, Brian, to before we were on these cameras, to before we were winning any tournaments, putting in any work, when we were beginners, like a lot of people watching this right now. And I would like to talk about the beginner mistakes, just a few beginner mistakes that we wish we never made and that now we can put out there so that you guys don't have to make the same ones. And Brian, for me, the first one I'm going to have to go with, I think this is paramount. I think this is one of the most underrated things in all of fighting games, as simple as it sounds. Anti-airing. Because I'll tell you what, you can become pretty good at the game and still be bad at anti-airs. Now that might sound like, oh, well, why do I need to get good at it? Well, for one, you're going to get better a whole lot faster by having that part locked down. And for two, eventually you're going to run into a roadblock. So, for me, I got to a point where my anti-airs just got like much, much better over the last, year, I would say. Like, where I just really was conscious about it. We're to the point where now my subconscious anti-airs a lot more, and I don't have to be. It was at one point, I'm sure you guys can relate. At one point, it was like I have to be looking for them to jump. Right. So if I'm like, okay, I'm going to look for the jump. He jumps, I anti-air. But then my mind might be like, okay, he's not going to jump again though. So I'm focused on the ground, and then if they jump again anytime soon, I'm not answering. Like, what? He's still jumping, and I'm calling people scrubby and whatnot. When really I'm the scrub for not anti-airing, right? But to bring it back to the core point of this, man, the reason why anti-airing is so important is because nothing else exists without anti-airing. Mm-hmm. The neutral game is so deep, it's so complex. But who cares if you can hit confirm? Who cares if you can whiff punish? Bro, it doesn't matter what your strategy is, right? Like, if that fundamental isn't there, then you're not going to execute. Bro, I guarantee you, no matter what, the way I look at it is most humans are going to take the path of least resistance, right? Oh, yeah. So, because of that means that I don't care what level of play, it could be the highest level of play or the lowest level, especially lowest level though, but it's all levels. People are going to jump a lot. I don't care. Because the risk reward is just really, really, really good 9 times out of 10. Unless using someone who just somehow does 1 million damage off anti-air, like Urian, for example. But generally speaking, the anti-air only does 60 damage, 90 damage. But if you get that jump in, you might lose the round off of that alone. So definitely, I would say focus hard on your anti-airs, learn about it, understand the reasoning behind it, and you're going to improve tremendously. That will also help you keep people in the corner, because somebody can jump out the corner, the round could be over anyway. Oh, yeah. So
it's definitely the glue. It's the glue that holds the whole game together. I mean, Street Fighter is known for being like the grounded footsie-based fighting game, which it's only that way if you can anti-air, right? So 100%, you got to focus on anti-airs, and that's one of the tips that I give for beginners. I made that how to get out of bronze video. The number one thing I said is anti-air, 100%. Everyone's just jumping forever.
You made it out of bronze, Brian?
I eventually, after I focused on those anti-airs, I eventually got there. It took 5 years, but baby, we're making some waves these days. Yeah. So yeah, the anti-airs, I totally agree. It's the glue that holds it all together. You can't excel at anything else until you get the anti-airs together. And trust me, guys, when I say there are people in the highest tier of ranks who cannot anti-air. They exist. And that's why they are hard stuck at Diamond. Because I'll be playing some people in Diamond rank, and I'll be like, this guy's not that bad. He's giving me some trouble. And then I jump at him one time. Wait a minute. And then that's when the game stops. I stop playing Street Fighter, and I literally just do jump, short, jab, jump, short, jab, and I'll beat them just spamming that. Because I realize, why do I even have to play to their strength?
You might take a couple seconds here and there to just sit on the ground and make you forget about the jump, and I'm just going to jump again.
Right, of course. Yeah, there's shortcuts to beating some players. So it's at all levels. So make sure to focus on those anti-airs for sure. And with that said, one of my things I wish I had focused on or realized when I was a beginner is similar to your anti-airing situation, is just playing with a goal in mind. So I used to when I first started playing Street Fighter 4 is when I kind of picked up fighting games and got a bit more serious with them. I would play ranked for hours and hours and hours, and I was just doing things. I didn't know like what the proper way to play was, or what my aspirations would be, or even how to take what I learned and go back to the lab and reflect and refine on it. But I would just go into ranked and play. If I had went into ranked with specific goals in mind other than just winning, I would have been able to level up much quicker, which is something I do to this day. You mentioned anti-airs. I recently picked up Oro. One thing I went into ranked with was focusing on my anti-airs, because I had to do a different anti-air approach than with my other characters, and I was struggling for a while using this character because his Crouching Fierce is not the best anti-air. I would say it hits out in front, doesn't hit above his head, so people were jumping at me. So I said, I'm going to stop focusing on just trying to win and using what I'm comfortable with, and I'm going to make all my sessions for this period of time focusing on using his standing medium punch anti-air, which leads into combo conversions, and practicing all the situational awareness with that. So basically, I would go into games telling myself over and over, focus on doing this one thing, even if that meant I wasn't getting the wins as much, because maybe sometimes instead of doing Crouching Fierce or standing medium punch, I would do crouching medium punch. You know, your brain will cross the wires until you're getting used to it, right? And I'd say, hey, that's still a win, because I'm telling myself I'm working on making the adjustments to get to the goal that I want to have. And then once I achieved that goal, it became just part of my game plan. I started doing medium punch anti-air on response to everything and doing mad damage from anti-airs. And then I stopped losing to those diamond players who were jumping all on me left and right? And so basically adopting that sort of mentality and approach allows you to keep adding things to your game, because it's all about the individual parts that add up to something greater than the sum of their parts, right? The whole is so much better than the sum of the parts, because
that's deep,
these little things add up together. They add up, and then you achieve the big picture. So I think people don't really focus on the little things. Pick small goals, because not only will you be able to get better, you'll feel better, because you're not going to win every game. When you're a beginner, you're going to lose a lot. You need to find the small victories along the way to not only improve, but keep up your motivation, which I think is the number one thing, is how do you stay motivated at the end of the day. So those small goals, pick something to focus on. An anti-air, a combo, punishing a certain move. Pick that one small thing, add it to your game every session. You'll level up much faster than without having those small goals.
Brian, I'm like, bro, this is why I love talking to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got a little something going up there in your coconut, and I appreciate that a whole lot, man. Because thank you. I remember reading Daigo speaking on this same sort of concept, man, and it's fascinating to me when I think about it. Like, just hearing the way you word it, it's interesting how focusing on winning can lead to less wins than not focusing on winning. You know what I mean? In the long run, letting that, the way Daigo put it was that winning is a natural byproduct of the work. And the last thing I want to bring up here, as far as my tip, and this is extremely important. I remember hearing this in chess at one point when I was studying up on that, and that is be as objective as possible. Objectivity. I remember I would look at these replays back in the day, if I was to watch them at all, and if something happened to me, I would feel like, oh, this character is just busted, right? Or, oh, it was just lag, or my character is this, or there's so many different things. Guys, I promise you, I feel like when people talk about like not making excuses or trying to be as objective as possible, it can sound like someone's on their soapbox saying from a ethical perspective, like give your opponent credit, kumbaya. Yo, I'm all about winning, bro. Whether you give your opponent credit or not, it don't matter. I don't care if you a mean guy, I don't care if you teabag. You don't got to be nice to nobody, in my opinion, and that's from the bottom of my heart. Do what you want to do, right? I might consider you an asshole, but who cares? Do you? You paid your money. What I'm saying is that you are going to win more. You will be talking trash to more people, at least with a reason to do so, when you are being objective. It blows my mind, and I guess it's because now I've been doing this for years. So I'm a bit far removed from when I was early on. But then when I sit back and think, I'm like, oh, I was there before. But the reason why that question, how do I improve, is so wild to me is just because if you're being objective, you have a billion different answers in one of your replays. Just take 5 minutes and watch any replay. And this goes for dang near any player, but especially the type of players that we're talking about here, as far as, you know, being on the earlier side of things. And this goes for, honestly, what I'm saying here goes for like diamond and below, probably even maybe a little bit above that. If you see it, if you go look and say, okay, this dude's got this jump in on me, I've gone and looked at how many times someone jumped at me and how many times I anti-air, and look over the course of, like, let's say 10 games, literally. All these different rounds, 10 games, and I put like a circle for I anti-aired it, an X for I didn't anti-air it, so I have percentage. Then I would go and look at like a elite level players match last 10 games or something like that, and I would do the numbers there as well. That way it takes all subjectivity out of it for me. So there is no, it could slip my mind, or I could get a feeling like, oh, I feel like it was pretty similar. When you put those numbers on it, oh wow, I anti-air 50%. This dude anti-air literally 90% of the jumps. That right there, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you don't literally have to use numbers, but I would just say, just keep it real with yourself, man, because I promise you, you're going to improve 10 times faster by doing so.
Absolutely, and I think I'll take the slightly more emotional angle from that, but it stems from the same sort of source here. Dealing with your salt is something I wish I knew how to do better as a beginner, and I think the answer is kind of what you mentioned. Man, you know, people know me as a bit of a salt lord now, but back in the day, back in the Xbox Live days, back then, on the 360 playing some Street Fighter 4 back in delay-based netcode, I was pretty salty. I got to admit it. And I would lose to somebody doing something that I deemed to be dumb, stupid. I said, do you think I'm that dumb to fall for your tricks? Well, looks like I am, because I just lost and I don't like it, right? And so that used to get me super salty. And I was like, man, how can I? And once that happens, you can't play. You're done. Like,
it's over with.
You try to keep playing the session, try to keep getting your reps in, but at that point, you're unable to think objectively, like you mentioned, and it's all downhill from there. So learning how to manage salt is something that I've definitely tried to learn over the years, and I think it stems from a very similar sources. Being objective with what's going on, but also I think you mentioned, you don't have to be nice to give credit. I think that helps. I think
it does too. I do think it does too.
If you're in an emotional state and you're unable to think objectively anymore, which is very important to be able to reflect on your own progress and play properly, I think giving credit to your opponent is definitely a great tip. Be like, hey, you caught me not paying attention to your gimmick. You caught me. Oh, you got me with the okie doke.
Backhanded compliment.
Sure, even if it's backhanded, at the end of the day, you're still putting some kind of responsibility on yourself, because sometimes you get hit with stuff that makes you feel foolish. Because that's what Street Fighter is all about. Sometimes it comes full circle where you stop paying attention to the dumb stuff and then it starts coming back to bite you in the butt, right? And so that was definitely difficult for me, like a difficult pill to swallow for me for a long time. But I think giving your opponent credit, dealing with objectivity, and focusing on, how can you objectively improve can help with the salt. And knowing how to take a break. You got to take a break. If you find yourself unable to think straight anymore, time to take a break. Those are some good points, man. These are the things I wish I knew when I was starting out. These are tips that you can take to level up a lot faster, because once you start putting the little things together, it builds into the big picture. Then who knows, maybe you'll be smoking Rob in ranked soon, jumping on him because he still can't anti-air to this day.
The disrespect is out of this world.